10 toes behind Jesus. 10 toes behind Jesus. 10 toes behind Jesus. I started 10 toes. You know how it go. Used to have waves, now I wear a big nappy fro. Then I fell down. Couldn't believe it until I stood up 10 toes behind Jesus.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of 10 Toes Behind Jesus podcast. I love you guys so much. The love has just been crazy and amazing, and the support has been awesome. Check out my shirt. Every time I come on, I'm gonna have on some 10 Toes Behind. You know what? Don't quote me on that. I'm gonna try my best to have on some 10 Toes Behind Jesus merch, and host to encourage you all to go cop some merch. All proceeds go to missions and the upbuilding of God's kingdom. The video you saw in that intro and on the website is the church base in, is church base the right word? Is a church in Mexico that does not have the funds to finish and continue. So we are coming together as a community, 10 Toes Behind Jesus, to help build his kingdom here on earth. So I'm Britley, and hope you guys have had a great week so far. Happy Monday. Today we're gonna we're gonna talk about how the walk with God can get lonely. Now, for one, it's not lonely. You are never alone. God is always with you. Okay? But it feels lonely. Okay? So, that just first disclaimer. You are never actually alone, but it feels lonely. You know, it feels like you don't have support. It feels like no one's with you. It feels like no one understands you, you know? But so I just wanted to come on here and talk about it because really just to tell you guys that if you feel this way, you are not alone. Like, I felt this way plenty of times, especially with this transition, because like this past year has been the first year I've been 10 toes behind Jesus. Like, y'all, I'm telling you, I'm gonna say that saying, like, because I don't really know another way to describe to y'all, like, what's really, like, what it is other than that. So, like, this has been the first year, and it's just, like, I'm able to hear God's voice in a way I've never heard before. I'm more willing to be obedient because I understand what comes with disobedience. Like, you know, stuff like that. And it's like, I'm a different person. I'm a different person. And so, you know, people adjusting to that, like, that is an adjustment, like, you're going to have to make type thing. And so, like, I've lost friends that I never thought I would lose, y'all. Like, let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it here today. And so, not that me losing a friend made me feel lonely. I mean, it just sucked, you know? But I know cases where, like, people's family have, like, I wouldn't say turned, but, like, you know, made them feel like they were crazy for, you know, how on fire they are for God, or just don't understand them. And yeah, it's not a good feeling, y'all. But what I can say is that make sure, and this is with anything, like, make sure you understand the difference between God's voice and the enemy, because not knowing the difference between the two, like, can really mess you up. Like, does that make sense? Like, God can tell you, sit by yourself at church today because You don't know the reason. God knows. Maybe you're distracted by other people. Maybe you need isolation time to fully focus on him. Maybe you need that. Okay? But the enemy can also be in your head and say, sit by yourself at church. And while you're sitting by yourself, he's throwing every single thought in your mind. He's saying, check your phone. Matter of fact, you're so alone. You're still by yourself. You can watch this video. Matter of fact, you can put your AirPods in and no one be able to hear you. So knowing the difference between that is extremely important, because sometimes when our walk is getting lonely, look, that's a good sign. The enemy will try to sneak in, and he will actually allow you to feel certain ways about people to break and ruin relationships. You know, like, he will allow certain people to say things at the right time to just, you know, make you feel like, you know what, no one does care about me, no one does love me, you know. And so that is just like a really, really important thing to know. And like praying, fasting, like getting close to God to where when you hear his voice, you know it's his voice. And when it's God's voice, you need to surrender to his voice, like surrender to his will, whatever it is. And when it's the enemy's voice, you need to put on the armor of God and fight back whatever the enemy has coming against you. And so if you don't know the difference, you'll be surrendering to the enemy, and y'all know where that's going to go, and you'll be fighting God. So the difference in learning the importance first between figuring out the difference between the two, like, is extremely important, but learning to where you get to a point, and like I said, like, the enemy never ceases. Like, he never stops. He's always, always, always. My pastor said my pastor said the other day, he said, you are always in warfare. Like, you are always in warfare. He's actually doing a series on how to avoid unfair warfare, because the enemy doesn't fight fair. And sorry, I just thought I saw something. The enemy doesn't fight fair, and it's been like an amazing and great series that he's doing, because he doesn't, like, and when you think about it, like, it says that the battle is for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So we're not fighting each other. It's not that person. It's not those people. He said, but we're fighting rulers of dark places, spirit. Let me just pull it up because I want to say it. So basically, like, the enemy is in a place that is just out of reality. Like, when you're sleeping, the enemy can use that to get into your mind. Now, that is unfair. That is unfair, right? It's stuff like that he's doing. Like, that is unfair. That's why we have to pray over ourselves before we go to sleep every night. Because while we're asleep, we're not conscious. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so, like, stuff like that is unfair. So, yeah. Anyway, y'all, series is good. But anyway, back to feeling lonely. Like, and now, sometimes God has to isolate us. Sometimes God has to put us in a place where, you know, where he needs to work on us, XYZ. And while we're in that time, we need to make sure we're surrendering to God and what he wants us to do in that time, and understand what he's teaching you. Now, obviously, sometimes we don't understand. And it's not for us to understand, honestly. Just obey God, you know? In due time, like, he will reveal, like, what, you know, he wanted you to get out of that. And so, okay, so it's God. Then sometimes it's the enemy. You know she don't like you. You know, look at her right now. Like, she looks annoyed of you because she is. You know what I'm saying? Cut her off because she really doesn't care about you. Or your family, they think you're crazy. All this going to church you're doing, like, eventually you're just going to ruin your relationship with your family. So you might as well go ahead and start now and stop talking to them. Stuff like that. Like, knowing the difference between the two is very important. But I want you all to know that if you are feeling alone, and, like, currently, just know that it's people that genuinely care about you. Like, I care about you. I love you. It don't even matter who you are or what you got going on. Like we are a community. We are here for each other. You know, no matter where we're all staying at, living at, across the country, across the world, you know, you got us, you got each other, you got each other. Recently, I've been feeling, not now, but like a couple weeks ago, I really was in that place where I know I wasn't alone. I know people love me. I know God loves me. God loves me. It don't matter who don't. But I just felt like, you know, certain stuff. I was like, am I about to lose? Like, you know, is this that? And it came to pass where I realized it was the enemy planting those thoughts in my head. And I was like, you know what? I'm not about to let you destroy and destruct like you want to do, and you always, that your only goal is to do. And so I, now I'm gonna be honest, normally I am not spending as much time as I should in my word reading the Bible. But this week, not this week, but that week, I was going in. I was going in, and I'm just so thankful that I did, because that really helped me in that time. And I didn't even keep it up. Shame on me. But I was really going in, and I just feel like if it wasn't for that, I would still be like battling that to this day. And so I I hope that going forward, like, God continues to reveal to me the armor of God, or like putting on the full armor of God, because like we need to know, like, okay, some come our way, like we need to, and if we're weak in an area, in our armor, again weak in an area, like we need to know, like, to strengthen it, because like my pastor said, like we are always under warfare. So if we always under warfare, that means we always need to be fighting. Okay? Yeah. We always need to be fighting the enemy, not God. Fighting the enemy, not God. So, and I know there's people out there like being the only saved person in their household, like, you know, yeah, not me, but I know it's people like they're out that are just like the only saved person out of their friend group, and it's like, baby, either you gonna change them or they gonna change you, and you need to really realize like what's more important. And so you realize, okay, well, they don't believe, they don't even want to hear it, they don't even think about it. You gotta get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't really spend as much time with y'all as I want, because y'all are influencing me to get farther away from God. I'm trying to get closer to God. Y'all trying to be farther away from God, and stuff like that. So I just want to encourage you guys, like, you are not alone. You have God. God loves you. Not only that, you have a community of people that care so deeply about you, that love you. And like I said, learn, pray, and ask God to teach you how to differentiate his voice and the enemy's voice. Because if God has brought you to this place in the wilderness to be alone, to help you, then be obedient and do what he's saying to do. But if it's the enemy in your head just trying to get you to isolate yourself and feel bad about yourself and try to get you to go back to the world because the world loves you, God doesn't love you, all that stuff, like, no, we need to be fighting that. So that's my 2-piece spiel on how the walk can get lonely sometimes. But just know you are not alone. So I love you guys. That's the end of this podcast. Like, again, let's get some talking going in the comments. Subscribe, like, make sure you tap that link, cop some merch. And yeah, that's all for tonight. I hope you guys a great rest of the week. Be blessed. I love you all and see you all next time. Bye.